the guy, the emo guy. Have I sent that guy to you?
The real estate one?
God, that's so creative.
Yeah.
I don't know how he gets it to sound that way.
Don't you think you've pocketed like into a niche though? That guy who does that, we're just diving straight into the episodes moving forward, no intro, you know you're listening to it, tells you.
Yeah.
But that, I've wondered, when them people do that, like the woman who hides in houses,
Yeah.
does she just keep hiding in houses forever?
Or like the young kid who like screams and runs.
Yeah, the guy who sprints.
Yeah, through the house. I forget his name, but I mean, it's creative, but you got to do that every time now,
Like
right?
that becomes your shtick, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. Like you can't turn up and ever slow. That boy can't do one slow video tour of a house, or they're like, you suck.
Or like, does this guy show up, the emo guy, does he show up for the interview? And I'll link one of these in the description.
Yeah,
The emo guy that's awesome. It's really well written. It's creative. I think it's AI music, because if he's singing that actual music.
No, I'm sure that guy sings and does
You
that.
think so?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so creative. But I mean, then do you show up to a listing appointment with like, eyeliner on, and like, is he?
No,
the
I'll bet
emo
he does.
realtor,
I'll
or
bet
is
he
super
turns up
professional?
and not. I bet he turns up and not.
Really?
But I do think it goes back to the whole goal is to get eyes on the house, right? But at the same time, like I wonder with the shtick, like we talk about it in real estate for men, like you can't the way social media allows female realtors to market themselves and do things. There's no way like men can do it. And like, you see the humor of it now, right? Like there's the video of, there's that one, I don't know if people have seen it, but the gal, she's walking up the stairs and it's the view from behind. It's like, this is what showings of me look like. Yeah. And then it like cuts to a guy and he's like, oh, you could have your husband come to our house with me instead. And we can't do them things. Like it is a little bit different.
Almost at that point.
Yeah. It's tough. It's different in real estate, innit? But I don't think the shtick, like, I think there are some people in real estate that are realtors that market themselves and do the stuff so well that obviously their end goal is to become some sort of content personality, real estate coach, content personality guide sort of thing. That makes total sense because they don't have a shtick. They're typically diverse. Like if you think of Chris Benjamin.
Sure. Right.
Chris is now big on Broke Agent Media, does stuff there, was the face of Zillow for their big deal in Vegas. Like super creative guy, does all kind of stuff, avoids falling into a shtick thing.
Yeah, it's transcending just this one specific thing. But if you do that one thing, I do think it's interesting. You're sitting across from that client and they're like, so for our house, you gonna do that thing that you do? They're like, they got like millions of views, and if it doesn't, then
you heard the girl
are you disappointed?
But we had the lady in California who does those big videos in Washington, where she said she does all those creative videos, and when she goes to a house where there's nothing to do that for,
sure, right?
And they're like, so what's the plan? And she's like, well, we'll do a video, and they think, are you going to dress up like the Easter Bunny and do a whole day filming thing?
Whole blown out theme, I don't know. I think you can overdo it too, right? I mean,
I think they can become so overproduced that the nuance of it and the organic nature of it kind of is lost on people. But I do think creating your personality through it's important too.
Sure.
Like in social media, I think if I meet you and you're not like what you appear on social media, I'm a little bit disappointed. Like when we first met, use him as an example, met Chris.
Yeah.
You're like, that's exactly the guy you see on the camera. That's awesome. So when he goes in for his listing appointments, people, if they found him online, they've seen that. Like I had a guy the other week call me up and he said, he messaged me on TikTok and said, I've seen your videos. Do you ever sell in Maple Ridge? And I was like, yeah, we talked about it, whatever. So I go to his house and meet him because they're looking to sell and move into Midtown from South Tulsa. And I think if you asked him when he met me, was that what he expected? I think he would say yes. And I think that would go for any agent and more. Like I think we do a very good job here of encouraging them to be themselves.
Yeah.
Whether it's going to be kind of, like if you take someone like Adrian, she's very composed in her stuff, right? She's very genuine. It's very polished. When she comes to meet someone for a listing appointment, that's how she is.
Right.
And that's a good thing too, because I think too many realtors try and do like niche stuff and fall into shticks. I don't think you can do that.
Yeah, I mean, it either you can't. I don't think you can be in the middle of that either. You have to be like 100.
What do you mean in the middle?
Like you either need to be all in on the authenticity, or you need to like own your shtick. Like right.
Oh,
where it's like,
I see what you mean.
For instance, like Stod guy, right? You know who I'm talking about? he acts like he's got all the money and he dresses nice and he's very
the guy, the greetings guy does all the greetings. Yeah.
Well, that guy too, right?
Okay.
But that guy, that's a thing he does. He's not that way every day in his, if you go to his apartment.
Oh, you're saying you can't be semi-gimmick.
You can't be in between. You either got to be like, this is my deal. This is what my channel's devoted to. This is what you're expecting to see when you show up and you get this like stuff from me. Or it's like, I'm just all in authentic.
So if you're like the realtor with a parrot on your shoulder, that's your stick. You've always got to have a parrot on your shoulder.
Well, and I'm saying
you can't be the realtor with the parrot and not have it.
As a realtor, I think it's too hard to do, like to try and fall in the middle. Like there's some great creative people that I think do both, but I don't think you could do that as like, hey, this is my professional channel and I do these like hybrid things. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
No, I don't know. I mean, like if you're dipping into gimmicks, like you wouldn't get me. Like I don't think you'd catch me doing a TikTok dance.
Right.
Like I think. But Chris, if that happened, come check on me.
Chris is a good example though. But like he brings really funny, like he always brings his creative, unique layer.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's a shtick. I think that's his general sense of humor and the way that he's promoting that into the real estate world. See, that to me is not in the middle. I think that's just his lane, right?
Well, the other thing to bear in mind is for us, you see stuff more that become viral that realtors are doing because you follow a lot of realtors.
Yeah.
Whereas
we're stuck in this.
Yeah, you're stuck in it. It's like an echo chamber of the same thing.
Yeah.
But to their friends that they're maybe the only realtor they follow that post content, they see them doing something that we see as a viral trend. They don't think much of it. It's like, this is just the way it is.
Well, they're not going to see it 15 or 20 or 30 different times, the same thing over and over again, because they're not following 20 or 30 different realtors.
I do think though, when you go list a house, one of the things I've tried to talk to people about now is showing them how we're going to try and make that house famous. Like I want to show them that we have a marketing strategy, because I think at a very bare minimum, if you're selling your house in Tulsa or anywhere around Tulsa and a realtor sits down, the very bare minimum, they should have professional photos, which should include drone, layout, and a video if the house needs a video. But those first three without fail, right? And I think that it's still amazing to me that people list their homes with people and they don't realize that they're getting iPhone photos. They just say, hey, I'm going to take pictures of it and put it on the MLS and it'll be good to go. But if they work with a realtor who has a good media backing, like what we do, a good setup there, their house is going to look better. It's going to be more desirable for people to come in. We talk about a price being an invitation to a showing. I think that having good photos goes with that, because if those photos suck, I don't want to go see the house no matter what the price is. Like if they're crap photos and it makes the house look crap, I'm not going to want to go see it. So that's really important. And then I think the other thing now that's happened in the market where there's been a big shift is that there's so much content put out there that one video tour that's super generic. Like right now, have you seen the thing where it's the house builds itself?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
You see it once and then it's done. Now it's cool when it's your house or whatever, and it might be good for the agents to do a handful of listings, but like to stand out in a crowd, you're not, because you have the same company producing it, whether it's offshore, in town, whatever. They're doing the same video intro. It lacks the creativity. So I think when you sit down with sellers now, you really have to talk to them about, this is our game plan, this is how we're going to strategize, and how we're going to get you as many eyes on the house as possible.
I mean, you have to almost treat it like consumer product marketing today, because that's what the consumer's doing on the other side of things. Like we were just, before we started rolling, we were talking about boots, right? So stay in that same vein with me for a second. With those boots, right? Like if the price of the boot doesn't reflect the marketing of the boot, you're going to scratch your head a little bit.
Oh
right?
yeah. Like high-end. This is what they say you never seen Lamborghini's never done an ad.
Right.
Lamborghini have never ever paid for an ad.
Right.
That's wild.
For instance, though, we were just talking about like Danner boots, right? One of the higher end boots, very expensive. But if you jumped on Danner's website and there were crap photos of those boots, Danner's not selling any boots. Like the marketing needs to match like the price point, right? Because they're expensive, and vice versa, right? Like
so put that in real estate terms. What we're talking about is like if we're doing we listed a house before, it's $5.5 million, 40 acres, incredible build. Steve Wright built it. Shout out Steve. Amazing high-end home. When you shoot pictures of a house of that status and that price point, you don't just shoot video, you don't just shoot photos, you then have to mix in editorial photos.
Yeah.
So close up of the sink and the fixtures, because if you've got a waterworks tap in some houses is literally the cost of an appliance package in some kitchens.
Yeah.
They have one of them in their kitchen. So if someone's got 3 or 4 of them, we need to make sure we're taking good pictures of it. If they've got multiple high-end dishwashers, a Miele coffee machine built into the cabinets, whatever it may be, M-Tech door handles, these things you have to get better photos of up front, because to your point, if you're trying to buy a Rolex or anything like that, Rolex don't just list one picture of the watch. They do the bezel up close, they do the dial, they do the clasp, they do the bracelet, they do the face, they do the hands, they do all of these things. It's the same with a house. Right. You need to market it to the price point. But the difference with a house compared to any other product is the lower end of the price range should still be treated and given the same decency of professional photos, a good property description, video, reshot during seasonal change if possible. Like this time of year now, if you're listing a house right now and you're going to be on the market through spring when things starts to green up and you've still got the winter photos, have a word with your realtor.
Yeah. Or you've got a bunch of snow in your photos.
Yeah, mate.
Come 30 days from now.
Like literally what we do is Alison, God love her, when it comes around to this time of year, she's going through every one of them listings. And if they're still on the market in spring when things are greened up, she's getting that exterior reshot ASAP. Yeah. Because if people are looking in March and they're seeing that winter vibe, to your point, the marketing doesn't match the mood. Like when you advertise a beer like Corona, they advertise it on the beach, don't they? You don't see Corona commercials downtown. It doesn't match.
Yeah.
The same with your real estate. You got to be shooting it for the time of the year. So that's okay if there's a time of year to let a Christmas tree slide or things like that. Of course, around Christmas and the holidays, yeah, it makes sense. But the exterior, it drives me insane that agents don't get them reshot for their clients.
Yeah, or if you were going to jump on Suit Supply's website and they still had all their, fall and winter gear as the headline, right? Stuff, you're going to be like, what's going on?
It's March. The mood. This
is what I'm looking for now, right? And I think subsequently what they're going to do is you're going to start to discount the quality or the price or the value of whatever you're looking for. And I think that consumers are doing that with houses too. So I think that presentation, especially with presentation inside of that like digital format for houses, is so critical today. It's kind of crazy how dynamic, like we talk about, it's a double-edged sword, right? It's like if they're so good, it's or so
if they're too good,
they're like too good, so unrealistically good. People show up in person and then they're disappointed. Or if they're crap, they don't ever show up in the first place. Yeah, so you don't ever get any feedback. Yeah, so it's hard to balance that stuff.
Because we've had listings in the past where they have an amount of cosmetic work needed, but you don't do an editorial shot of cracks in the plaster to show that it needs to be repaired from when the house settled. So, but this goes back to I had a buyer interviewed me to be their agent this past weekend, and when we talked about the importance of making sure you still go see the house in person, regardless of how the photos are. Because again, there are many facets that go into the marketing in the home. Like you said, the absorption of that content. You've obviously got the address that you see on Zillow, you've got the price point, you've got the amenities, and you've got the photos. If the photos are the only things of those 4 things that isn't really jiving with what you're trying to do, it's still worth taking a look just to rule it out to be sure. Because sometimes, how many times have you shown a house and they walk in and go, wow,
it's their house and they end up buying it. I mean, it happens literally all the time where somebody's like, well, the photos weren't that great, and you show up and it's because of the angles or the lighting was terrible, or it showed the amenities looked older, or there's so many ways that those dynamics of photos or colors. How many times have we talked about coloration in photos?
Oh, it's a nightmare. Trying to get your colors right in photos is an absolute pain in the ass, because the blend of when they get edited, sometimes they can be edited to a way that you lose the natural color of it, and it looks too bright, and sometimes you diminish the warmth of the colors used, and that's really tough as well, because because then you start, like, ultimately what happens is everyone questions the media when the house isn't selling.
Yeah, of course. So one of the things I've been wanting to do on the show at some point was, we got some good advice early on from a friend of ours, and he just said, you got to constantly tell the story. And I think that's ultimately what this platform's for. What we do on social media is it's some form of more or less storytelling.
Yeah.
And so I think you generally have a very interesting story, just like a background and how you fell into the industry and stuff. And so I think it's fun. I want to be the interviewee for a couple minutes, and I just want to ask you some questions and let you be able to tell your story a little bit, so that like the folks listening on the other end of this have a better connection to you, have a better understanding of like who Brox is, where he's coming from, why he's speaking on what he's speaking on, things like that, right? So take us back. We've known each other for 15 years now,
Probably that long, yeah, close to, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, long enough to where, I've watched the story change quite a bit. Give me the Cliff Notes version of like, you're a young lad in England and all of a sudden now you're in America. What's that like Cliff Notes story like?
I realized pretty early on wasn't going to make it pro playing soccer in the UK, and then found out about getting scholarships to come to the States. Had an opportunity to come to the States, came to the States, graduated, went to the USL Combine, try and go pro over here. That didn't work out either, and got offered a job in Tulsa to move down here and do oil and gas finance initially. So my background is finance and econ. So that's why I think the numbers side of real estate and data is so important to me, because I think if you understand the data and the A to Z's of it, you're good moving forward.
Did you study it in school?
Yeah. So it was all finance background, and then when I moved to Tulsa, got all my licenses to trade securities and things like that too. So knew all that stuff. Worked for a guy that had a lot of businesses. He had a lot of different entrepreneurial stuff. Ran a fence company for him for a year. Would go work out in the oil field. Learned a little bit about the oil industry in that regard. Did some land work. Moved into farmer sales, and then obviously that was when the time was right for us for me to jump into real estate, because you can't do real estate in the state of Oklahoma without a green card.
Yeah.
So once I was married, then you had a green card, then it made sense to get into real estate.
So, that's a really incredibly diverse background. From the stuff you were doing before, what sort of stuff, like you mentioned it slightly with the data, but what sort of applications from, your previous work experience would you say applied and carried forward into real estate?
I think that the lead nurture from pharmaceuticals is an important one. Also from, when I...
What do you mean? What do you mean by that?
Well, just staying in contact with people, like you visiting your doctor's offices and checking in with them. And then, the fence one's an interesting one too, because, if you're bidding a large commercial job, you need to know what's coming and who needs things, and can you get competitive pricing on other stuff. So it's keeping a pulse on the market, which is important because the industry is always changing. I think in some different jobs, everyone's job evolves and changes to some degree, but for some it's fairly consistent. In real estate, it evolves every single day. So you have to stay on top of the market and trends. And when you have a background in numbers or writing proposals and things like that, you're on top of those things daily, I guess would be the big thing. I also think more, though, what I learned more from my previous industry was watching other people and doing stuff. So, the example I tell new agents in terms of getting stuff done, when I worked for the oil company, I had a company car. The car was going in the shop on a Thursday. They said to us, okay, the part gets delivered tomorrow. We'll get it back to you on a Monday. So I was without a vehicle from Thursday afternoon till Monday afternoon, in theory. Mm-hmm. The guy whose company it was said to him, well, where's the part? They said it's in Tulsa. And it was like getting O'Reilly's down off Memorial or something. He said, well, what about if I'll go get the part right now and I'll bring it back to you today? Can it be ready tomorrow? And they said, yes. So the story there at large I try and tell agents is like, if you can go and do something yourself to expedite a process, you go do it. Yeah. Like if you need to go speak to the lender yourself, you go do it. If you need to go to the title company, you go do it. If you've got to run the sign yourself to make sure it's there in time, you go do it, right? Like the photos, if you've got to call and get them scheduled because it's taking too long, you do it.
You got to go stage a house with some furniture.
Yeah, bro, that sucks. Yesterday, shout out Alejandro helping me do that.
You go get Alejandro and you go do it.
Yeah, we can't talk bad about companies on here. We're not going to, but the client was not happy with the company who did the restoration on that. It took nearly a full year.
Eesh. So
we could have demoed the house and rebuilt it in less time.
That's a not shout out.
That's a non-shout out for sure.
All right, so you're a rookie. You have been introduced to a couple of real scallywags inside of the real estate industry, right? You get your license, and like, what's start look like for you? I mean, I know the story.
My biggest problem, and I'm quite honest about this with the newer agents, is I had no network in Tulsa really. Like my network were from people I would go out with, right? So I was working Monday to Friday, and when I was playing semi-pro, I was playing semi-pro soccer through the summer. All you're doing after the games is you're going out and you're having a good time, and you know you're not. You don't have a track record of being someone who's been in business or anything like that. So people don't want to use you. So my big problem was, even though I knew some people in town, they weren't really a network I could rely on for referrals. So I had to go out and completely build everything from scratch.
Yeah.
So cold calling, dead leads, open houses every single weekend. I think my first year in real estate, I only took off open houses for Super Bowl. It was like a Labor Day weekend, and I think maybe like Valentine's Day was on the 14th or a Sunday that year or something like that. So I think I only took off like 3 or 4 my first year in real estate. So just constantly did that. Any dead lead for sale by owners, expired, knocking doors, did all the stuff like that to try and build a basis of something. And my first year, I think I ended up doing around 7 million. I think it's 20 something transactions. I'm not sure, but I've tracked everything. That's another thing that's super important for new agents. If you're not tracking your business and you get audited by a buyer or seller when they're interviewing you and you can't back it up, that's a nightmare. Like, I had a guy reach out to me, found me on ChatGPT. I said, hey, can you just want to know kind of what you sold in the last 3 years? And I could send him back a spreadsheet immediately.
Yeah.
So for him, that was really comforting to know I had that data and he could just go and cross-reference it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think not to tell the story for you, but you're not downplaying, but you're giving a Cliff Notes version of the amount of cold calling that you did in your first year was disgusting. I mean, it was more than any person I've ever physically watched in the industry, and I haven't got to watch that many people.
Did 800 calls in 2 days once.
Yeah, I remember. Was wild. And they were like not fun calls. They were like, hey, here's let me give you 800 leads that haven't even pinged our system for the last year.
Yeah. Well, I had no business pending. And I couldn't, it was just like, my wife's family's not from here. We didn't have a huge network of people that were like buying houses or doing stuff at the time. Like I said, I had no credibility in the industry whatsoever. So I was building it all from scratch with people that I didn't know. So Christianos used a great term when he presented at our summit, pass-through trust equity. Mm-hmm. I had no pass-through trust equity from previous clients who could endorse me to anyone. So I had to build it all from scratch and had nothing going. I had like 800 leads in my database of dead leads, and I set myself the task of trying to call through all of them over a 40-hour period. And the rule I set was, if they didn't answer, that was fine. Don't leave a voicemail. You just keep moving. So a lot of it was sitting with AirPods in or headphones, whatever they were using at the time. And just call, didn't answer, hang up, next person. Call, didn't answer, hang up, next person. Call, they answered, talk to them about where they are they looking at anything? Is there anything we can try and get them in to see today? That kind of stuff. Anything to push and move the needle. So that was challenging, but the penultimate guy did buy a house with me. And I think what happens when you start in real estate for new agents, and I try and explain this to people, even seasoned people that struggle and they feel like they're kind of lost where they are, there comes a point in your industry where you don't realize it, but you are clearly stood at a fork in the road.
Sure.
Like if that guy, his name was Lance Casey, if Lance didn't buy a house with me then, who knows what would have happened? Would I have still been able to keep going, because you need your commission based only, right?
Sure,
as a realtor. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And you also want to avoid having commission breath, so you don't seem desperate when you're talking to these people, so you have to trust that the process is going to happen. Like I'll distinctly remember I've had 2 periods in my business, first 18 months of business, where it was forks at the road. Yeah. Like if he didn't do something, and then I had a sale around Christmas one time that kind of carried me through the new year. Like if those sales didn't happen, probably wouldn't still be in the industry.
Where do you think, talking about those inflection points, how long or at what point, or do you remember at the inflection point where you're like, I can do this, I'm in this long term, like this is what I'm supposed to do,
I think probably in and around COVID, when the market started to get busy, really busy, already having a database of the years previous, where I was also in contact with them so frequently that when their friends brought up business during COVID, then I had a lot of business coming then. And I also think the shift when you see your source changing to your phone is ringing instead of you being the one calling. Now, that's a trap. Again, you and I had a conversation today about falling into the traps of thinking you're doing the right thing. But with me, you have to remember, like on your phone, if your phone starts ringing as an agent, that doesn't mean it stops going outbound too.
Right.
You still got to keep making phone calls.
You got to
keep procuring business and doing that. And I see these great realtors on YouTube and things like that where they talk about they start their whole day cold calling every morning. And our market in Tulsa is a little bit different, where we don't have the sheer number of listings that some of these markets do, where you can just sit there and hammer the phones for 3 hours.
Right.
You could, but it's slightly different. So to stay on top of that and seeing the phone ring my way, I think that was a way when I was like, oh, this is cool. Like, people are calling me now and they've had my phone number from someone who said, hey, this is the guy to call. That was a good thing.
So, fast forwarding now, right? Like, and this is my opinion, you've had legacy sort of career already, and you've been in the industry 8 years, and you've seen more transactions in a single year than most agents see in their career, just statistically. So you've crushed it, right? What would you give somebody advice as far as, like, if they're trying to think about coming into the industry, if they're in the industry and they're struggling, if they're even if they're having mild success and they're thinking about going to the next year, what would give them some wisdom?
Okay, so if you're thinking about coming into the industry, you cannot half-ass real estate. Excuse me. For some reason, I do not understand how in America, this is the most expensive thing most people are ever going to buy, they're ever going to own, and they're comfortable using a part-time person to do it.
Is that different in the UK?
Yeah, they're full-time. But you would never, think about it now, you'd never take the boys to a part-time pediatrician. You'd never take the dog to a vet who sees 1 or 2 dogs a year. That's nuts. So the thought that you're going to buy the most expensive thing you're going to buy, a thing you're going to be locked into financially for potentially 15 to 30 years, without being working with a professional, is wild to me. And I also don't think if someone's coming into the industry, you can be half-assed, because this is an industry where evidently you can see the people outworking you every day, because it's a scoreboard industry.
Yeah, agreed.
If you think you're doing good and you've sold 3 units this year and someone else has done 8, 9, 10, that's not through luck.
Yeah.
They're just working harder than you.
No, this is not a lucky industry.
Yeah, so if you're coming into the industry, definitely got to come in with the mentality of, I'm going to be professional, this is my full-time thing. If you're in the industry and you're struggling right now, you need to take a look at your environment. And the reason I say that is this. In the right environment, you have a supportive system around you that build you up and give you ideas. There's an agent in our brokerage. I won't say her name because I don't think she might not want me to, but there's an agent in our brokerage that had a conversation with me about not understanding why she was not gaining enough business compared to people she knew because of the network she was in. There was almost this, I don't want to use the word entitlement, maybe default's a better word, a default setting of, well, our kids go to school together.
Right.
Why are they not using me?
Sure.
Why are they using her? Her kids are in the grade above. So we had a very frank conversation where I said, I don't think you have the track record yet to invoke someone to want to work with you. So don't worry about the people you know.
Yeah.
Go find the people you don't know.
Yeah.
Let's go earn your trust somewhere else. So she went and did open houses, hammered it. And kudos to her, because she worked her ass off and her business is flying now because of it.
Yeah.
Now people are coming to her because she built that. And what I'm saying about the environment is, if you're not in an environment where someone's going to sit down and intimately want to get to know your business and want to guide you through it and help you out, then you're in the wrong spot. Yeah. Entirely.
Yeah. That's good stuff.
Bro, did someone just flush the toilet? What is that noise?
I don't know. I wondered the same thing.
You called plumber, don't
it sounds crazier in my headphones than it does out. Oh, it's the AC. Is it? No. It's like running water. Oh, it's the toilet?
Flushed the toilet, didn't they?
Yeah, baby. Just more agency put in that work, baby. Well, hey, listen, I think it's super important for, if you're going to be on a microphone, like, I think it's great for people to understand a little bit of the background as to, like, why you're in front of the microphone. And like, truly admire you, the business that you've built, the way that you impart wisdom into more agency. It's incredible, man. We got to get out of here because I know everybody doesn't want to listen to us yap the whole time. But
we're staying sub 30 though.
Yeah, no, sub 30.
Let's do it.
No doubt, no doubt. We'll see you guys next time.
Appreciate you.